are you with plaintiffs versus Petland is what it says? Is Jennifer, she might be in the overflow room? Okay, we'll give her a second. Jennifer Measel, Chief. All right. Okay. That's okay. That's okay. Come on in. Have you been able to hear testimony in the overflow room? You right? Okay. Very good. And go ahead. If the red button isn't pushed already, go ahead and push the button, and you'll be able to hear you.
My name is Jennifer Measel, and I'm an attorney with Haas & Goldstein. We are currently in the process of suing Petland and have filed lawsuits against pet stores in the past. So, I like facts. As an attorney, I like facts. I don't know if you would like to hear some, but I've come prepared today with just a couple things that I feel are very important. Number one, I'd like to address House Bill 5916. There's a lot of good things I think that are in there. However, there's nobody to enforce them. In 2009, the Michigan Department of Agriculture decided they were going to stop inspecting pet stores. And after that, it's been the wild, wild west. So we have people that are purchasing, and I'm sorry I get very worked up about this because I do have over 50 individuals that have come to me with just heartbreaking stories about purchasing pets from pet stores. So the things that I like a lot about 5916 are that they do require additional inspections of the animals. They require fecal testing as well as vaccinations and USDA regulations. However, there's no one out there to police that right now. One of the individuals that spoke earlier testified that the local animal control as well as city animal control will come out and inspect the stores and deal with any type of complaints. That is simply not true. Since 2012, I have been calling Macomb County Animal Control, Oakland County Animal Control, the Macomb County Sheriff's Department, all sorts of regulatory agencies, and all of them point the finger at each other. Until finally I called the health department and spoke with a really nice lady who said, well, it's a civil matter. If you want, file a lawsuit. So as it stands right now, I am the only person policing pet stores in the state of Michigan. No one else is. So if you pass House Bill 5916, I think it's a good thing, but it's got no teeth. There's nobody there to enforce any of those rules. Not only that, but the USDA will not release any reports. In April of last year, they began sending responses to Freedom of Information Act requests that were completely redacted. So how are you to know, how is anyone to know, that that pet store that's claiming that it's USDA regulated and certified even meets any of those standards, because you can't see any of the violations. Number two, I'd like to address the issues with House Bill 5917. To me, passing preemptive legislation that may fly in the face of what the voters in local municipalities want in their communities is un-American, plain and simple. So we have other states in the U.S. that have passed humane acquisition of companion animal legislation going the opposite way. So what we have here is a complete pendulum shift. So what this bill tends to do is force everyone to live under the standards that are set in House Bill 5916, which I've already told you are no standards at all. And it would also preempt anyone that has problems with what's going on with the pet stores in their neighborhood from doing anything about it. It would essentially tie their hands. So I think it's premature, and I definitely think that whoever drafted this legislation either knows nothing or knows everything. Because if they know nothing, they know that they don't know that the USDA is not giving these reports, and they don't know that no one is inspecting pet stores, or they do know this, and they are trying to shield themselves from any type of oversight whatsoever. Does anyone have any questions?
I have a question. Would you say that, is it your position, I guess, that pet stores are incapable of providing for animal welfare, or that, you know, that there is no way in which a pet store could be run ethically?
No, I'm not saying that at all.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that, based on what I've seen in my own investigations, court system, discovery process, and depositions, there's no way that these large wholesale stores can stock their shelves with that many dogs of that many breeds without dealing with these, what I term puppy mills. They're whelping females that are constantly pregnant, constantly turning out litter after litter of dogs. The puppy mills that are located out of state, the USDA regulation of those amounts to maybe 1 inspection a year. We don't know what's going on. A lot of my plaintiffs are dealing with genetic deformities and malformations in these dogs, which cannot be seen on a veterinary examination. It doesn't happen until a year, 2 years down the road, and then the families are stuck with $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 in vet bills. I have a lady that had to have her dog's lungs transplanted because the dog was sold to her with pneumonia. It was never diagnosed. The breeder knew about it. I saw it on the health certificate that the dog had been treated with medication for pneumonia, but this was all hidden by the pet store that sold it to this woman.
Okay, obviously we can't adjudicate, the certainty of individual matters of that regard. And we set, policy as a state. The violation under these bills of this act would result in a misdemeanor offense. It's certainly up to the law enforcement arm of our government to enforce laws that we establish here. But I think setting criteria that establishes our expectations are what we do as a legislature to allow that to happen or not happen. Vice Chair Alexander had a question.
Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate your insight from the perspective that you bring to the table. So I hear you just say your biggest concern here is the enforcement component.
Correct.
So if that modification was made by the bill sponsor, you'd be able to get on board with the legislation then?
5916, yes. However, I don't know that this committee or the Michigan legislature has the ability to force the U.S. Department of Agriculture to stop blacking out all of the inspection reports. So there would need to be some modifications made to that to ensure that these large-scale kennels are not breeding animals in puppy mill-like conditions, and then putting them into the stream of commerce to come to Michigan and destroy families.
Thank you.
5917 is the preemption piece, and that, to me, sounded like the piece that you had a significant amount of concern with.
I do.
Do you know of, and this is just a broad question, of legal businesses that are determined to be illegal due to a vote of a local community? And I'm not saying pet shops, I'm saying in other areas of commerce where a local community say, well, we don't want any McDonald's in our city, or we don't want, something like that.
I can't speak to that. I'm a personal injury attorney that dabbles
Sure.
in the pet store stuff.
Okay. I'm not personally aware of a circumstance like that. I kind of feel like if you're operating legally, you have the legal ability to open your business, within the zoning parameters that exist in a community where you choose to settle.
But we always have to look to the will of our constituents. What do
Sure.
they want? What do these local businesses, what do these local communities want? They're lobbying for in their cities, in their townships, in their counties to get rid of the retail sale of animals, which is surprising to me that we have such a big support here for these bills, simply because I know for a fact that counties in southeast Michigan where I practice law have all passed referendums recommending that the cities, townships, and other municipalities within their borders pass the same type of legislation.
I think there's an appropriate level of government for each and every, rule of law that we have in our state and in our country, and I think that's where we're probably going to disagree, is where that level is appropriate. But appreciate you coming in and for your testimony. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.